Starboard angle of the bow now, 0.
Down the throat. It's a bow shot.
Hello, YouTube modeling community. This is Rick, and this is going to be my intro post for the Pearl Harbor 80th anniversary group build. Well, I'll say it was originally proposed by Al Wood, and it's being promoted by Charlie Mack. I'm not sure exactly about the sponsorship, but before I get into that, a little bit of a mail call. I've got 3 shop cards that came in over the last week and a half. All of them great modelers, but I just go through them, and I seriously doubt anybody watching here is not already subscribed, but in case you're not, I will put the links down in the description. The first card in was from Skip at Skip-O-Matic. If you have not seen his Halloween group build final, it was very funny, and be sure and take a look at it, and I'm sure you'll get a good giggle out of it. So thanks for the card, Skip, and thanks for the words. I did have the opportunity to meet Skip over at Modelpalooza in Orlando a few weeks back, so it was a pleasure to meet him and get to know him. And second card from Nemo, Captain Nemo. Again, another great builder, and actually he just put up his Pearl Harbor intro video, and it looks like he's going to take his hand at an airplane on that. He's usually a car builder, but that should be a real fun video to watch. So I'm looking forward to that, Nemo. So we'll be doing that. And the third one was from Benny, Fubar Model Yard. Again, it looks like Benny's a little out of his comfort zone. He's working on a online group build for ship models. I forget the name of the group build. It was On the Waves or something like that. But he's doing the Hawaiian Pilot ship and doing photo etch and quite an intricate model. So if you haven't seen those videos, I'd certainly check them out. So now, my Pearl Harbor vid. I guess you can probably guess it has to do with a tugboat. And specifically, I'm going to try and do a tribute to the U.S. Navy District Harbor Tug Hoga YT-146, which has been dubbed by some as the hero tug of Pearl Harbor. And for those that are interested in the history, I'll present some of the details at the end of the post. Note that she is one of 2 vessels present at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, that are still afloat, and the only Navy vessel. The other vessel is the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Taney, and that's at a museum in Baltimore. The Hoga is currently on display at the Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum in Little Rock. And at this point, I'm going to switch over to a slide mode presentation for the remainder of the post as I talk first about the project and what some of my issues and concerns are and how I'm going to approach it. And then, as I said earlier, I'll finish up with the history. So we'll move on to that. This is a 2-part presentation slideshow regarding my entry into the Pearl Harbor group build. I'm going to first go over the plan I have for the build of the U.S. Navy yard tug Hoga YT-146. and then talk a little bit about the one-to-one's history and role in Pearl Harbor, and why some people have dubbed her the hero tugboat of Pearl Harbor. So, as far as the build goes, the Hoga as a tug, Navy tug, has some distinct characteristics that I want to try and bring out in the build. Overall, her length is 100 feet, her beam 25 foot. Some of the features that I want to incorporate include there's a slight, or I would like to, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to incorporate them all, but there's a slight curvature of the upper deck on top of the cabin, and the pilot house is relatively small, and it does have a recessed window, and that we're going to have to look at and see how we can represent that. One key feature, and we'll find out more about that when we go through the history, is the water cannon that's mounted up on top of the pilot house. It then has a relatively short stack that's right behind the pilot house. There's a single cabin door along each side of the cabin. There's a lifeboat on the starboard side, port side, that is covered and will need to be incorporated. There's a mast back aft. There's an overhang of the cabin that's characteristic of this class, and there's very long aft deck and fantail. I tried to see if there was a model of this particular class of tugboat going through Skip-O-Matic, and I did find there was one. However, it's a resin kit. It appears to be no longer available, and it was 1/350 scale, which is really very small to get any kind of detail on the tug. So I'm really left with two choices in my stash. Before we get there, just here's an idea of the profile and how that 100 feet is distributed, with 18 feet in the forward part of floor of the pilot house. The deck cabin is about 45 feet, and this open stern about 37 feet. So the two choices that I've got based on my stash are the Revel Harbor Tug, which is 1/8 or 1/108 scale, and the kit length in there is just a little over 9 inches, and that converts to a 1-to-1 tugboat that would be 82 feet long. The other choice is the Lindbergh diesel tug, which is 187. That's model railroad HO scale, and the kit length is 13 inches, which converts to a 97-foot tugboat, which is pretty close to the 100 feet of the Hoga. So looking at those two and what would be involved, when we start with the Revel, if that was the choice, I need to shorten the pilot house and figure out how to represent the recessed windows. Have to then move and shorten the stack. And as far as the after deck goes, I think I just have to accept it. It's not representative of the prototype, but I don't see any way to reasonably extend it or try and get the profile to look like the Hoga. Now, you can't quite tell it here, but the Revel model does kind of have this curved upper deck. So that's one thing. It does have the stern mast. So those are features that can be incorporated. There's a lifeboat. I just need to relocate it from the starboard side to the port side and eliminate the davits. Just mount it on the deck. So, and then the only other thing is there are, I think, 3 or 4 cabin doors that are molded in on the side of the cabin, which take all but one and scrape them down and sand them smooth. So all in all, it would not yield a truly representative model, but it can be accomplished. Something that has to be done with these railings. They're much heavier than really just the light lines that the Hoga has. So looking now at the other choice, the Lindbergh. Problem here is that the pilot house is really totally unrepresentative. It's got a set of bridge wings that protrude out and make it much wider than the one-to-one would be. So I don't see a way to really fix that up too much. Possibly may need to scratch build something out of cardstock or figure out another way to do that. And again, the pilot house has to be shortened, and then the stack move forward and shortened. The water cannon, just like the Revel kit, would have to be added. I think this after deck is much better, but I don't think it's still totally representative of the long deck of the Hoga. So no lifeboat in the kit, so a lifeboat would have to be added. And the cabin doors here are actually openings in the sides of the cabin, which are going to have to be filled. Well, 3 of them are going to have to be filled. And the mast moved aft. And here this kit, the upper deck is flat. It doesn't have the curvature. I don't remember if I mentioned it, but the Revel does have a slight curvature to it. So those are the choices I've got. I'm leaning, I think, to doing the Lindbergh kit and seeing what I can do with it. And if it doesn't quite work out, then we'll go back to the Revel kit. So that's where I am. As soon as I get going, I'll start posting some updates. And I'd like now to go on to the history, but if you don't want to stick around for that, I certainly understand. It's not necessarily something everybody's interested in. So if you choose to bail out now, that's great. Thank you for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing and all those good things. So now let's look at the history of the Hoga. The U.S. Navy tug Hoga is actually, the name comes from the Sioux Indian word for fish. Note that it's not the USS Hoga. The tugboats, the yard boats were not commissioned Navy ships. So it's just the United States Navy YT-146 Hoga. Some basic facts, like I said, the name comes from the Indian word, Sioux Indian word for fish. It's a Woban class District Harbor tug. laid down around 1940, so certainly meets the group build criteria of before 1941. Launched December 31st, 1940. Went into service in May of that year at Pearl Harbor, and was there on December 7th during the attack. Right now, she's a museum ship in Little Rock, Arkansas, at the Arkansas Inland Marine Museum Collection. I don't know if anybody's been there. I know Sean lives in Arkansas. I don't know if he's anywhere near Little Rock, but that's where she is and can be visited. She is one of only 2 veteran vessels of the Pearl Harbor attack. The other one is a U.S. Coast Guard cutter, the Tanny, and she is also a museum ship. And since she's Coast Guard, that makes the Hoga the last U.S. Navy vessel at Pearl Harbor that is still afloat. Okay, the Hoga is best known for her actions during the attack. She was underway within 10 minutes. She began pulling survivors, at least 2 sailors, from the water as she headed to Battleship Row. When she got there, she found that the repair ship that was tied on next to the Arizona was, in danger of, in fact, there already was a fire, and the Hoga managed to tie on and essentially pull the Vestal, the repair ship, away from the Arizona, and then started aiding in fighting the fires on the Arizona. And this was occurring around 8:30. So the next thing that Hoga did, after fighting the fires in the Arizona for 8:50, for about 30 minutes, 50 minutes, about 20 minutes, she was dispatched to lend assistance to the mine layer Ogola, and as she was heading there, she was passed by the Nevada, which was then making a run for the open sea. This would have been between the 2 waves of attack. Nevada, as you may be aware, was the only battleship able to get underway. After the first wave attack, she tried to make a run for the open sea, which presented an opportunity to the second wave of Japanese attack, trying to sink the Nevada and block the channel, which would really make much of the remaining part of the fleet ineffective and unable to put to sea. So the whoever was in command of the Nevada, I don't know if the ship's captain was on or not, but decided that she should run aground, but couldn't get her totally out of the channel. So the Hoga and the YT-130 were dispatched to pull Nevada free and push her to the western side of the channel, making sure the channel stayed open. This picture shows Hoga tied to the port bow of the Nevada, fighting the fire. You can see fighting with the water cannon from the top of the pilot house, and that's why that's an important element that we want to capture. And they were able to push her over there. It was about 10:45 by the time they were fighting the fire on the Nevada. So from the Nevada, Hoga returned to Battleship Row, finding fires on the Maryland, the Tennessee, and back again at the Arizona. She fought fires for 72 continuous hours, remaining on active duty throughout the rest of the week, patrolling the harbor, assisting in body removal, searching for Japanese submarines believed to be hiding in the harbor. So it was all that activity, particularly the moving of the Nevada, that led her to be dubbed by some the hero tug of Pearl Harbor. The commanding officer of the Hoga was Chief Boatswain's Mate Joseph B. McManus, who received a commendation from Admiral Nimitz shortly after Pearl Harbor. And you can read the citation here. It focuses on the work with the Nevada. Note that the ships are not named specifically, essentially out of security concerns. So it just talks about a ship. So from there, Hoga continued throughout the war. This is a picture of Hoga assisting the damaged USS Yorktown enter Pearl Harbor for repairs after the Coral Sea. This was May 27th, and this was the repair exercise that originally was estimated to take weeks or months and wound up taking days in order to get the Yorktown back out to sea to head to Midway. A couple other pictures of Hoga here as she's assisting the mine-laying destroyer. This is an old four-stack destroyer that was converted to a mine layer. You can see on the back of Hoga these two lifeboats. So you can also see him in this picture of Hoga assisting the USS Fulton, the submarine tender. But at this point, she was carrying Yorktown survivors from Midway back to Pearl Harbor. And here is Hoga today at the museum. Has been restored. The interim between the end of the war and her being moved here to the museum, she spent about 5 decades loaned from the Navy to the city of Oakland to act as a firefighting boat in the harbor there in Oakland. So that's a little bit of the history. If you've enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. If you think we should continue with presentations like this on the subjects, I'll continue to do that. So thank you everybody for watching, subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please do. And I'll get back with updates on this as we get going. So everyone, take care.